Paul has been working for Toyota Kenya for the last 10 years. He started as a welder, and through training and willingness to learn, he has grown to become one of the pro technicians.
From the first time I started here, I started as a welder in the welding body shop. Then later we have some self-training here. Then you go through some training and you go advancing. So it has been a great experience.
Communication was the greatest challenge for Paul, who was born deaf. Whenever he wanted to communicate, he would write and his colleagues would write back.
The biggest challenge I would talk about is the communication barrier, because when I started, most of people didn't know sign language, but now with the interaction, there's an improvement.
Before it was a bit challenging because you want to write, either to write down for him to understand. But after learning the sign language, it became easier. And after that, even talking, it was easier and shorter time.
The urge to communicate with Paul more easily developed within his colleagues, and this gave birth to a training course for sign language within the company.
The idea actually came from staff members, because we realized that there was a need to have an easier communication with Paul, because what would normally happen is that every time that there's a meeting, we need to bring in an interpreter for him. So to make it easier for him and for the other members of staff, we came up with the idea that we needed to have this program run. So we had a training for 4 months.
30 staff members enrolled for the course that took them 4 months to graduate. Francis Motweri and Martin Wanjo were among those who graduated.
I wanted so much to communicate with deaf people, especially Paul, being my friend. Also, I wanted to know their culture, understanding how they relate with each other. So that's the best thing I did in my life, because now I know how to sign and talk with them.
Paul is one of my friends, and I have several other friends. So I had to learn sign language to know how to communicate with them and to interact well.
They say the time spent with Paul is priceless, as they have learned a lot both socially and technically.
I've worked with him for several years. When I came here, I came as a trainee. He has taught me several things, and he's a person who is willing to help and to support in all ways.
Okay, working with Paul is excellent because he's someone who is experienced. He's a person who knows what he's doing. Okay, he's technically know-how. Okay, every time maybe you are in need of help, maybe you need him to lend you hand. He's somebody who can help you. He leave his own things and then he help you whenever you are in need.
Watching Paul work, you just have no choice but to agree with David Hockney when he said that deafness makes one see clearer. If you can't hear, you somehow see. According to Emma Ndongo from the Human Resource Department and in charge of the training, it is something special that they have Paul as one of their staff.
Getting somebody doing what Paul is doing, for us it's a special thing, because he's good at his work.
There are many other Pauls out there all awaiting an opportunity to grow their career interests. It is then a challenge to other corporate companies and individuals to develop an interest on people with hearing disability. Francis and Martin sometimes find themselves signing rather than talking. Paul has overcome all the odds and he is not stopping. He is looking at a future where he is a manager or a supervisor as he continues to build and develop his skills even more. Marete Selvin, GBS News.